Bombing in central Iran? No, that was the Iranian government, I believe, said that it was training. Yeah, it was a training exercise or something. And also, guys, there's going to be shit in the region. There's going to be the region is heating up.
More warships to the Middle East due to the possibility of Iran attacking Israel.
Still, those bombs keep falling. Israeli forces hit a hospital over the weekend and a school sheltering families displaced repeatedly by war. My brother was covered in blood, said this teenager.
They had another fucking tent massacre in the midst of this. Like, instead of fucking gearing up, instead of after assassinating the principal negotiator on a fucking ceasefire deal that, like, the American government keeps saying was actually fucked over by Hamas, Israel proving once again to the entire world that they did not give a shit about the negotiations whatsoever, making it so that, like, more and more people can be cognizant about this reality, even if they're not really paying close attention to it. Okay? They turned around and they did the one thing that they do all the fucking time, which is bomb hospitals, bomb refugees, bomb refugee camps again. It's pretty wild. For me, I find this really strange, but it is some end siege shit, you know? It is very Hitlerian of Israel to dial up the baby murder that they've been focusing their efforts on in the midst of, like, opening up a new multiple front war. It's strange. Like, it's strange if you look at it in a vacuum, but it's very on brand for former fascist governments that have crumbled. The difference, of course, is that, like, you have the U.S. backing in this circumstance. So maybe they think it'll pan out differently. I suspect that it will not. In terms of, like, the Biden administration, what they've done to rein in Israel, they've done nothing. Actually, it's not that they've done nothing. They've done the worst things that they could possibly do, which is to give Israel the go-ahead and consistently say, we'll defend you unconditionally. They've done this by defending them unconditionally over and over again. I don't know what else to say. We are actively enabling the worst instincts of a genocidal, bloodthirsty regime.
At least, do they have the right to respond? I mean, is that part of...
He's asking the State Department if Iran has a right to self-defense. Let's see how he responds.
So I just answered that question in response to what he got from Simon. A right is one thing. Taking steps that are productive and are conducive to the interests of their people, that are conducive to the interests of the broad.
He's saying, like, if Iran might have a right to respond and defend itself. Having said that, however, if Iran does defend itself, then we're gonna fuck up Iran. That's basically what he's trying to say.
Region, or another question.
Let's say happen in any of the Western capitals.
Iranian government is that bloodthirsty kid killer regime. Yeah, the Iranian government's domestic affairs aside, or even its, like, regional interests aside, I don't think if we're talking about Iran and Israel, you want to be talking about kid killing. You know what I mean? 40,000 deaths in Gaza say otherwise. The majority being women and children. Overwhelming majority being women and children, as a matter of fact. Bit weird for you to be like, oh, the kid killers. It's like one of those kid killers is our allies, and they're killing the kids with our weapons. Would you say Matt Miller is truly one of the worst ever to do it? No, John Kirby is the worst to do it. Like, Matt Miller looks fucking good in comparison to that one. That fucking demon. I have a special smoke in my heart for fucking Kirby. I despise him with every fucking ounce of my being, okay? Anyway, let's hear what Fox has to say about Iran's attack on Israel expected to come in waves.
Imagine being on the ground in Israel and watching that come from next door, the Hezbollah terrorists firing rockets.
Bro, that's like, I mean, the only way you get to do this is if you just don't think that the Arabs are humans, right? Like, what are we talking about here? Motherfuckers in Beirut currently don't have bomb shelters to go to. You know what I mean? They're just chilling. They're like, yeah, I mean, I guess war, you know, what are you going to do about it? Like, imagine how fucking scary it is to hear air sirens. And it's like, yeah, it is scary. Okay. Now imagine what it's like when you don't have air sirens and you don't have fucking bomb shelters that you can go to, and you don't have $38 billion that Obama gave you in terms of a defense system that is like state of the goddamn art. There's no Iron Dome in this situation for Israel's enemies.
Rockets into.
And the only reason why we're even talking about this retaliation is because Israel, in the midst of its active genocide in Gaza, chose to turn around and fucking kill the principal negotiator, who is the chief of the political bureau of Hamas, as in like a person responsible for civil governance, okay? Not like a militant whatsoever, not a general whatsoever, okay? The leader of the Politburo, which is akin to a diplomat, okay, in this circumstance, a diplomat that Israel is directly dealing with in the negotiations, okay? They went and they executed him, and they didn't even do this in like Qatar. They didn't do this in Turkey. They did this in Iran, okay? They specifically targeted and executed the principal negotiator on the Palestinian side inside of Iran, inside of Tehran, in broad daylight. Of course, there is going to be consequences for that. Like, there's going to be retaliation for that. No country would not retaliate to that. What the fuck are we talking about? Like, what is especially when the dynamic is that like Israel is also currently engaging in an active genocide on top of everything else. Finland would never retaliate to that. At most, a lot of people will execute their own citizens on foreign soil. Okay? Saudi Arabia does this. India did this in Canada recently. It was a high-profile incident. Okay? If you're talking about like Vladimir Putin's hitman in Berlin, he killed a Chechen dissident, right? Like countries do this all the time. Obviously, the United States is the number one at doing this shit. Okay? But ultimately, doing this in the midst of active conflict is entirely different, especially when they violated Iranian sovereignty once and there was a massive retaliation. Right? There was a massive retaliation that took place as a consequence of that, where they fucking sent in swarms and swarms of rockets, bringing up America to defend Israel once. At any point in this conversation, post October 7, the United States could have literally turned around and said, we're stopping this. Okay? You need to dial it the fuck back, or we're just not going to give you weapons. That's it. It would stop Israel immediately. It would stop Israel tomorrow. What the fuck are they going to do if we don't constantly resupply them? They're not going to do anything. If we even threaten that we won't defend them when they keep poking the fucking bear, then they're done. They're done. I read it was Iranian citizens killing him. Yeah, I don't know where you fucking read that, but that is pretty funny. Wait, is it confirmed he was killed by Israel? I mean, by the American State Department, basically, yes. Here's Hakan Fidan, Turkish foreign minister. Pretty smart dude overall, as far as I understand. He says he actually gives warning shots to the United States and Europe. This is a little bit more important, in my opinion, than Recep Tayyip Erdogan saying shit. He says the owners of Israel must now take Israel by the leash and stop it. The region is no longer in a position to tolerate further Israeli provocations. He says we're not playing this game any longer. Every little thing that Israel does, every bad thing that Israel does, the United States behind. the United States comes in and tries to engage in a sweeping operation to clean it up
hafifletmeye çalışması
and try to lighten the burden, try to lighten the load and the impact.
kabul edilebilir bir patern olmaktan
It's no longer an acceptable pattern that the United States does that every single time.
çıkmıştır. Artık tasmasını sahipleri eline almalı.
Now, those who own the leash of Israel, he's saying, must, grab onto that leash
Ve sahip çıkmalı.
and take ownership over it.
Bölge daha fazla İsrail provokasyonunu kaldıracak durumda değildir.
This region can no longer take more of the Israeli provocations. He's right.
Bunun altını çiziyorum.
He says, I'm underlying that statement.
Bu uyarılarımıza kulak versinler.
I'm underlining that statement, sorry. Please listen to what I'm saying.
Kulak versinler. Bölgenin
Please listen to these warnings.
evlatları olarak, bölgenin insanları olarak
We are humans from this region. We are sons of this region.
bunu söylüyorum.
I'm saying this as a person from this region. I'm saying this as like we are the sons of this region. We are the people of this region. I'm telling you this as like a person from this
Bölgenin
region.
içinden geçtiği duygusal atmosfer, halkın içinde bulunduğu psikolojik durum, her gün ekranda halkın içinde bulunduğu, bölgenin içinden geçtiği duygusal atmosfer,
The entire region and the emotional turmoil that they experience on a daily
halkın
basis,
içinde bulunduğu psikolojik durum,
the population's psychological trauma for the entire region,
her gün ekranda gördüğü bu katledilme resimleri, çaresiz bırakılmış
watching children get slaughtered every single day on their television screens,
Filistinlilere hiçbir el uzatılmaması
and having no hand be lent to them in support of these people who are directly, being slaughtered on our TV screens.
bunun karşısında başka çok lüzumsuz konularda Müslüman ülkelerin sürekli bir ders verilir durumda olunması, demokrasi
And in other circumstances where all the Muslim countries are in a constant state where like they need to be educated
insan hakları üzerinden
on human rights violations comes across as hypocritical, is basically saying. It's like he's saying it's hypocritical because we see in the region, we see children being slaughtered by America's dog in the region. Okay? And then, the people of this region see that, and then they also hear other officials from the United States of America, from the Western world, turn around and offer them a lecture on human rights on a daily fucking basis.
artık tahammül sınırlarını çoktan aşmıştır.
And it's gone beyond the pale, and it's like, people can no longer stand idly by and allow this to continue.
Batı her türlü moral üstünlüğünü bu coğrafyada kaybetmiştir.
The West has completely lost all of its moral high ground in this region. That's what he's saying. He said that the West has lost all matter of of even claiming that they have some kind of moral high ground in this region.
İsrail meselesinden dolayı. Dolayısıyla bu
Because of
yeni
the Israel
ışıkta
situation.
uluslararası sistemin bütün norm ve kurallarını yitirdiği bu dönemde
And in this time when all matter of rules and norms in the international rule-based order have been violated,
Mısır, Türkiye ve diğer ülkeler arasındaki
Egypt, Turkey, and other countries in the region,
diplomatik işbirliği, yapıcı işbirliği, bölgesel barışı sağlamada bütün norm ve kurallarını yitirdiği bu dönemde Mısır, Türkiye ve diğer ülkeler arasındaki diplomatik işbirliği, yapıcı
Egypt, Turkey, and other regional actors engaging in negotiation, engaging in negotiations and bringing about a peace deal,
bölgesel barışı
regional
sağlamada
peace.
daha da önemli hale gelmiştir.
It's become even more important for regional actors to come together and bring about regional peace.
Çünkü uluslararası sistemin çöktüğü bir denklemde artık bölgenin güçleri olarak ülke
Because in the absence or in the complete collapse of the international rule-based order, regional actors must come into play.
olarak biz meseleyi gerçekten sahiplenip el birliğiyle
We must
elimizden
take
gelen
ownership over this issue and come together and deal with it together
her şeyi
as regional
yapma
actors
gayreti içerisindeyiz. Barış adına, istikrar adına.
in an effort to, you know, in an effort to bring about peace and liberation and freedom. This guy's like the CIA, but in Turkey, chat, they call him the black box of Erdogan. Yeah. He is former CIA, former Turkish CIA, MIT, which is basically CIA. Like CIA, MIT, Milli İstihbarat Teşkilatı. MIT is the CIA in the US. Well, the MIT was created alongside the CIA. So, like the MIT, Milli İstihbarat Teşkilatı, the Turkish CIA was created alongside, like was created in partnership with the CIA of America. So, yeah. So that's pretty aggressive rhetoric coming from Hakan Fidan, the Turkish foreign minister. If you recall, he had a conversation with Anthony Blinken on October 8th. And immediately after that conversation took place, Anthony Blinken actually tweeted that Israel must restrain itself and then deleted that tweet moments later. That was a funny little thing that happened. But if you consider the alternative to the Turkish warnings that America sends even more bombs, the United States has announced plans to supply Israel with Mark 83 half-ton bombs, even as Israel continues its genocide in Gaza and attacks neighboring countries. That's not just for Gaza. That's probably for Lebanon, by the way. Bringing up Turkey helped Azerbaijan ethnically cleanse Armenians, though, this is peace in the region, is so funny because, like, one, I do agree with that. Okay, Turkey did help Azerbaijan. Except, you know who else did help Azerbaijan? Fucking Israel. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you think that's a fucking argument against Israel? No, it's not. And yes, that's why I kept repeating that these words ring hollow coming from the Erdogan administration, specifically when, because of that deal that you just brought up, Azerbaijan is responsible, by way of Turkish pipelines, for the record, of fueling 30% of the Israeli energy grid. So Turkey could technically turn the faucet off and completely cause the Israeli society to collapse. They would never do that, obviously. They're NATO. That's ridiculous. But like the notion that you're like fucking bringing this shit up when we're talking about Israel and criticizing Israel is so fucking stupid.
And, you know, Iran funds Hezbollah, they fund Hamas. This could have been completely preventable. This is an absolute disaster brought to you by really bad decisions by the Biden-Harris administration.
And our nation is boosting
Wait, I agree, but I don't think I agree. But I don't think I agree in the same reason, for the same reasons that he agrees, or the same reasons why he's saying that. Because like none of this and none of what might come after would happen if America from the jump was like, we know how you get Israel, restrain yourself. We will take the weapons off the table if you fucking keep using them on children like we know you're going to do. That's my take on the matter. American calls for restraint would not ring hollow if there was actually some action accompanying said restraint, some threats accompanying said restraint, calls for restraint. Nasrallah to speak tomorrow, so I don't think there will be an Iranian or Hezbollah attack until tomorrow morning. Note, Hezbollah General Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah will speak tomorrow at 5 p.m. local time in Beirut. You expect the U.S. to do the right thing? I don't expect the United States to do the right thing for like, in terms of like preserving the lives of Palestinian children. I do expect them to do the right thing in this circumstance to preserve Israel as an apartheid regime. In order for America to let Israel continue being an apartheid, to let Israel continue being this violent entity that it needs in the region as a destabilizing factor, America had to restrain Israel early on. They didn't do that, and now they've destabilized far too much. They've shown the world that they have no control over their own fucking foreign partner. And they keep giving more weapons to said foreign partner while simultaneously talking about how angry they are whenever those weapons are used on children. Those words ring hollow. This is hurting America's, even if you're pro-America, if you're pro-American State Department, if you're pro-like American hegemonic power, the expectation, much like many of those in the State Department who literally resigned because they wouldn't listen to their fucking warnings, is dial Israel the fuck back, go back to the liberal Zionist position, and act like Israel is actually a liberal safe haven that is just simply defending itself. America is not doing that, though. And that's partially a consequence of Joe Biden and his like insane levels of zealotry in this circumstance. It has major domestic consequences in terms of skyrocketing anti-Semitic sentiment. It has major, much more significant global implications in terms of showing every fucking country, like, and every population, every nation's population is now aware that the United States of America doesn't have the same level of control and the same level of smoke that it once had. If there comes a time where it's Turkey or Israel, I think the U.S. picks Turkey over Israel 9 times out of 10. I don't know about that. I mean, this person is not wrong. No. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Turkey is an incredibly important asset to NATO. That's why they get to do whatever the fuck they want in the northern Syrian corridor. Okay? It's not 9 out of 10, though. But that chatter is not technically incorrect. Turkey is the second largest fucking army in NATO, okay? What the fuck are we talking about? Turkey has literal direct missile systems. Turkey has nukes, American nuclear arsenal in its American military bases inside of its fucking national boundaries. You think that is like not significant in terms of like American, in terms of like America's calculation here? No, it's very important. Turkey's next on the chopping block after Iran? Yeah, you're delusional. Turkey's not next on the chopping block after Iran. Turkey is not just a NATO member. Turkey is the NATO member in the region. This isn't me being like, oh, I'm glazing Turkey. As you guys know, I am not exactly a fan of NATO. This is interesting. Harris met with VP finalists, is set to unveil choice by Tuesday morning.
Yesterday, Jordan's foreign minister traveled to Iran for a meeting. President Biden scheduled to speak with Jordanian King Abdullah II today, but there has been very little public Iranian interaction with those trying to avert a crisis. With this in mind, Israel is taking
Israel about to kill him too, just for fun. They're like, oh, he's Arab.
up strikes against Gaza in recent days, going after Hamas, but killing dozens of civilians in the process.
Going after Hamas, but killing dozens of civilians in the process is, of course, expected from Fox News. It is, however, sad when it comes from, CNN and other outlets as well, because they basically do the same shit too. There is obviously a bipartisanship that American media regularly demonstrates when talking about America's foreign policy, especially in terms of Israel. It's starting. Several U.S. personnel injured in rocket attack against base housing U.S. troops in Iraq. Yeah, this isn't new, I don't think. Like, I think it happened like an hour ago or something. But that's it's like 3 hours ago. It's being reported as it's happening now, but I think it happened a couple hours ago. What? A few thousand dozens is not misleading, crying leftists? What? That is a thing that has been consistent in the region. It's different. What we are looking for right now, what we are trying to figure out right now is if Israel will be directly targeted by Yemen, directly targeted by Hezbollah, and directly targeted by Iran. That would be the different. That would be something that is unique. When people are talking about a regional escalation, that's what they're talking about, not like Iraq bases being hit or whatever.
As Trey indicated, we could see a series of actions taken by Iran for which little time and preparation can occur, and from which will occur from a variety of axes all around the compass points of the Middle East. I would also add that we can't exclude attacks in Europe, attacks in Asia, and attacks in the United States from Iranian operatives and their surrogates and proxies.
I want to ask about the series of actions by Iran, because when you say that, it makes me understand better.
Bro, I mean, dude, I don't think so. I think, look, I'm not going to make predictions, okay? I'm not going to make predictions, but I will say that he's making a prediction right now. I don't think that it is a valid one to make in terms of like the Iranian cells or sleeper cells. They've been saying that literally non-fucking stop since October 7. It has never materialized. And they just basically keep repeating it over and over again. And absolutely zero people fucking punish them for just, you know, running their mouths in this way. Because why the fuck would they? But yeah, no, it's a byproduct of manufacturing consent in this situation to be like, hey, look, like we're going to personalize this war for you too. You know, we're going to personalize this war. It's coming to your doorstep too. Classic move from rabid warmongers. But no, I think that Iran has said that America has been playing a significant role in the Israeli equation, which is correct. They aren't wrong, and so has Hezbollah. But I think if they were to retaliate, they would most likely retaliate against like regional operatives, as in like people that are, you know, on current U.S. aircraft carriers in the region, not necessarily random civilians in the fucking Middle East. They would probably hit like, you know, Saudi targets. They probably hit American targets. But I don't know. I will not be making predictions specifically because while these guys get to make all the predictions on the planet and they're almost always wrong, they never really get punished. As a matter of fact, they get elevated to higher status. Whereas people will never let me forget, even if they misunderstand what I'm saying. You're watching fake news from lopsided media pundits form your own opinion. What? What do you think I do? That's my job. My job is to literally fucking do that and serve you the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour in between.
Contributing to the inflation in the United States. That's just a foretaste of what could occur if global energy markets are disrupted further at a time when the strategic petroleum reserve has been depleted in the United States by the current administration for political purposes. The pain could be severe and acute. It could contribute to, or it certainly could accelerate the trajectory towards recession that many people are discussing today.
How do you think Israel...
This argument is so funny because they're like, this guy, like when the cameras are off, this guy is 100% in alignment with Joseph Robinette Biden. Okay. But obviously for the intents and purposes of cutting commentary that is like expressly anti-Biden, he has to fucking turn around and be like, yeah, they strategically depleted our fucking strategic oil reserves. It's like, dude, you are like, what are you saying? Like how you do not, I know he's a Heritage Foundation guy. He literally does not have a single thing that he could get Biden on this issue because Biden is behaving like a rabid right-winger. Like, what the fuck? Like, they've bombed the shit out of Yemen, bro. What do you mean? They have. And it hasn't stopped. It literally is an incredibly costly endeavor that hasn't stopped the fucking shipment from being intercepted by the Houthis. It's not like they're not trying their fucking best here. I think it's wrong the way that they're trying to deal with this situation. I think it's stupid. But like, you shouldn't be upset at it. You should be loving it. But you can't because you have to posture in terms of like domestic political battles or whatever.
What should we be doing militarily at this point? Are we doing all that we can?
I don't get it. What have we constrained Israel on? Does anybody fucking believe this man? Does he believe what he's saying? I don't think so. I don't think he believes it because like there is not what is it? Like we should have immediately sent troops into Gaza and started doing fucking door knocking operations and like murking 80,000 Palestinians out of the 40,000, which is a conservative estimate.
Israel, and we need to look to our own defenses inside the United States, recognizing Iran has capabilities across the world and in the United States because of our open borders. This has to be done immediately.
Yeah, I don't think we can have a discussion without talking about the number of terrorists on or people on a terrorist suspected list that have crossed under this administration. I just don't think you can have this conversation. So I'm glad you brought up border because it factors in mightily now.
I don't know what to say to this. It's like I'm listening to two people hallucinating. Like that's so like how do you make sense of what she just said? She just dropped that in there, right? Harris Faulkner. She's like, yeah, so many people on the watch list have like crossed over the border. It's like, how do you know that? Like, what are you saying? Like Donald Trump, you're repeating what Donald Trump said, but like what's the argument here that the Biden administration is like, nah, these guys actually like they're suspected terrorists or / there are active terrorists, right? And they're crossing the border and we're just like letting them because what? Biden wants Americans to be killed by fucking terrorists? Is that like the argument? Like follow that to its logical conclusion. Like, are you letting them in? How do you know this? Yeah, fucking call the FBI if you have knowledge that we are not privy to. What the fuck do you mean?